Welcome to How to Save Your Marriage with Nicola Beer, a full show of tips and practical strategies to repair, rebuild, and strengthen your relationship. If you are currently stuck, wondering if your marriage can be saved, or you know you want to save it but don't know how to go about changing it, this show is for you. To book your free marriage strategy session with Nicola, get the free marriage ebook or donate. If you are enjoying the show and want to help keep it flowing, visit www.nicolabeer.com.
Hi and welcome. I'm so happy you're here. My name is Nicola Beer and I'm going to be talking to you today about how to improve mental well-being for greater happiness. The reason I wanted to talk about mental well-being is because it affects every single area of our lives. Our romantic relationships, family relationships, work relationships, and also our relationship to food, alcohol, and other substances. Mental well-being is pivotal to being happy. And there's so much on happiness these days, or what you need to do to be successful, and very little on what actually mental well-being is. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So the World Health Organization defines mental well-being as a state of mind in which an individual is able to realize his or her own abilities, cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. What a statement. I mean, it's a bit confusing because it's so long and it's got so much in it. So is this really helpful? Well, it can be if we break it down. So let's break it down. And this time I'm going to ask you questions. And you can answer the questions for yourself, or you can answer the questions if you have somebody in your mind at the moment that you perhaps feel is not displaying signs of strong mental well-being and you want to help them. Or you can answer for both of you as I ask you these questions. So the first one is, do you realise your own abilities? The second is, are you able to cope with the normal stresses of life? Can you cope with stress? The next is, can you work productively and fruitfully? Now, fruitfully is a bit of a funny word, isn't it? But can you work productively? And if you can't, then often, in my experience, there's a lot of resentment, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of stress. Or these days, I think more and more people are asking me for hypnotherapy for the ability to focus, the ability to concentrate. And I think it's because we are so addicted to screens and there's so much information and we're constantly needing to feed our minds with new stimulation that people have actually forgotten how to concentrate on something. The next is, are you able to make a contribution to your community? And are you making a contribution to your community? So this is what they are saying that leads to mental well-being. So if you answered yes to these, then you would meet the criteria of mental well-being according to the World Health Organization. Many of the women and men I work with to save their marriage on their own, or to lose weight and feel better about themselves, are definitely able to do these things. Yet, they're not doing those things. They're capable, but they're not. And often this can be because of low self-esteem, too much stress and anxiety. And in fact, this is how I became an expert in anxiety treatment. Because so many people that I was helping with food, or so many people that I was helping save their marriage, were having extreme levels of anxiety, especially after affairs or any kind of lack of trust and betrayal. So with all my one-to-one programs, and even the couple ones, the aim is to generally boost someone's confidence and someone's happiness and mental well-being more generally. Because I really stand by this. You cannot have a happy life and a happy marriage if you do not respect and look after yourself. And you can't have a happy marriage if you're not happy. That is certain. And this kind of ties in with Tony Robbins and the 6 human needs, if you've heard that. It's a really good description of the human needs that we all share. And this comes into the mental well-being as well, because he argues that in order to be fulfilled in life, we need to meet the needs of the spirit not just the personality. And the two spirit needs are the need to be growing and the need to be contributing. And anything in life that doesn't grow dies. That's the law of nature. So we need to be constantly growing and constantly improving and constantly wanting more. There's nothing wrong with desiring more for yourself, more for your growth, more for your life. Everybody desires. It's healthy. It's not enough to be consuming and consuming. On a spirit level, we need more. And a lot of people that I work with will say they had all these sort of material goals, and when they got there, they thought, is this all there is? And having the contribution and the growth is things that we can change. So having had the privilege of supporting thousands of people now get happier and happier, to feel free, living their purpose inside and outside of their relationships, there are 3 key elements to mental well-being that I focus on, that I think are the most important, and time again it's been proven that these 3 are the most important. So I'm going to share these 3 with you and see if they're happening for you right now. See if there's an area that you might want to improve. See if your partner has this, if you're in a relationship at the moment, and what you can both do together to grow and to give each other and support each other to have mental well-being. The first is to accept yourself and others. We really need to accept ourselves, our flaws, our strengths and weaknesses, without putting ourselves down or punishing ourselves. It's about accepting the way that we look, the way that we are. Our mental health and relationships can be a disaster if we cannot accept ourselves. And there's a huge difference between improving yourself and criticizing yourself. Often in the Stop Emotional Eating counselling and hypnotherapy, I do this, and it includes accepting that there is no perfect way to eat, or there is no perfect relationship with food. The only perfection when it comes to food is listening to your body and tuning into your body needs at the time. There's no set rules to follow, no set diet, things like that. And this is where people slip up, because if they don't hit this exact, precise rule or plan that they have, they feel guilty. And then with this guilt can cause somebody to overeat. Because some days we eat more and some days we eat less. And that's okay. And in the marriage work that I do, it's accepting that some days you or your partner may snap at each other and say things in a hurtful way when we're hurting, when we're tired, when we're hungry, when we're lonely. And that's okay. Self-acceptance is essential to a happy, well-lived life. If you support yourself, if you're your own champion, you feel good. And often I work with people just on this at the beginning, because it's the foundation for everything. Loving yourself. Because when you love yourself, when you approve of yourself, when you accept yourself, everything else changes. People look good, they feel good, and they become more attractive. And it often is the thing that can really shift romantic relationships. As overall, the more positive energy we have in our life, the more positive energy we're going to be able to create in our homes and give to others. So are you critical of yourself? Can you start to be kinder to yourself? The first way to love yourself is to stop criticizing yourself, to accept who you are and to praise yourself. I also like to give gratitude to myself, because it's well documented the benefits of a grateful mind, a grateful heart, doing a gratitude diary. Some people will share 3 things that they're grateful for with a loved one every day. I think that's a lovely thing to do. But how many times when you're saying what you're grateful for, do they include things that you're grateful to yourself for? Most people will tell me none. And so being grateful to ourselves is also a part of that. So the next one for mental well-being is managing your emotions. This is the ability to manage your emotions. So what does this mean, managing emotions? It means recognizing what you are feeling, acknowledging what you are feeling, and then dealing with it in a healthy way. It's a skill to start managing your emotions. I get those I work with to practice pausing, breathing, and asking themselves, what energy do I want to bring into the day? What energy do I want to create in my office, in my home, in my car? Because the energy that we create and give on to others affects how the whole day, week, month, even year goes. So let's talk about the three main emotions that come up. Anger. Do you fly off the handle with anger? Anger is a natural and normal emotion to experience. We all get angry and irritated from time to time. If it hurts you and your relationship though, managing it in a more effective way may be something you choose to consider. Traditional anger management courses can offer some benefits, but usually I don't think they go deep enough at all. As all people know that they don't want to lash out, often they know that they don't want to destroy their loved ones with words, to smash things up, to get angry and feel horrible, hot inside. And a lot of the people don't want to carry resentment with them because it doesn't feel good to be hating somebody else or hating yourself or frustrated. So talking about releasing anger in the traditional anger management therapy often isn't enough. It's like, yeah, I know I don't want to do this, but I'm doing it. And this is often because it's an unconscious pattern which just keeps coming up again and again and again. And to remove that trigger, to remove that pattern, we need to work with the subconscious mind. So that's anger. And everything can be changed, and that's the beauty of working with the subconscious mind. That's the beauty of really good therapy that tackles both elements. We don't have to put up with the status quo. If we're ready, if we're willing to try something new, if we're willing to invest in ourselves, we can change it. The next is anxiety. Are you living in fear? Anxiety is basically unknown fear. So you're not sure what the fear is and whether it's really going to happen, but it's worrying about the future. Have you found yourself feeling worried and anxious about things where you cannot seem to switch it off? Again, I'm seeing more and more people with anxiety, as I mentioned at the beginning these days, and I'm certain that it's got a link to the amount of interaction we have with technology. Obviously, technology is amazing. It's really helped us grow, and we wouldn't be where we are today without it. However, if we are constantly bombarded with adverts and scrolling, and this affects people's attention. This creates a lot of anxiety. People are always on high alert. They're always watching something, either their phone or TV or their laptop, until they go to bed. And then they don't sleep properly. And it's just people are on that kind of high alert. And then often people get addicted to it. The amount of times people say, if I'm down without my email, I feel lonely. I like getting emails asking me for things. Makes me feel important. Makes me feel needed. I like checking social media. I like seeing what everyone else is doing. I like getting likes on my posts or comments on my posts. So people get addicted to these behaviours. Not surprisingly, that I went to a conference and I was told that Facebook hires casino workers from Las Vegas to make it addictive, to create Instagram and Facebook, to have that gambling kind of high. So it's no wonder. And a lot of people, I believe, are getting anxious that they're not living the best life that they can live. Anxious that they're not doing what other people are doing. Anxious because they're such on high alert and there's so much information coming to them. So giving yourself a break. And with anxiety, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I don't give any medication. With anxiety, I look at talking through all the fears and coming up with solutions against them all. And I look at doing calming meditations, calm the subconscious mind, because again, it's the subconscious mind that's sort of bringing up these patterns. A lot of anxiety I also deal with has to do, as I mentioned earlier, with cheating. Worrying if a partner is cheating on you. I've had men and women share with me that this drives them absolutely crazy and they can't switch it off. And again, really helping the mind to calm this is important. I've had Men and women share with me that they've got out and driven their car to follow their partner, put on GPS tracking devices, that they can't sleep about it, that they're making fake social media accounts to try and catch their partner out, that they're constantly checking whether their partner is online or not. All of these things are just absolutely exhausting, and they don't deal with the anxiety. In fact, in many cases, they can sort of feed that anxiety. And obviously, there's a huge difference between feeling fearful, to be worried about the future from time to time. We all go through periods of our lives where we do worry. For example, if you're working in a company and a few people have been laid off, that naturally you're going to worry. So doing some stress relieving, anxiety relieving exercises and tools to help you is key. But if you find that you cannot break free from it, if it's affecting your eating, where you are overeating or undereating, or you're not sleeping, or you just can't seem to switch off, or it's affecting your relationships with others, then it could be time to reach out for support. And the last main emotion that I wanted to talk about when it comes to managing emotions is managing feeling lonely and sad. Increasingly over the years, as I've been offering one-to-one and couple support, I find that people are feeling more and more alone. Then they associate feeling lonely with being unloved. In fact, the more connected on social media and with the screens we are, the more we isolate with unhealthy habits or addictive behaviours, and the less real human connection we have. And these are the two reasons I feel that people are feeling more and more lonely. The connection isn't real. Often, if you're meeting a friend regularly again and again in person, you're more likely to feel loved. It's very hard to feel loved by Facebook friends that you hardly see. You may be in contact, but do you really feel loved by them? Also, when we get into these unhealthy habits, we then want to isolate to have these unhealthy habits. I know that when I was self-medicating myself in a low point where I felt really lonely, and then I created more loneliness in my life because then I turned down things to do things with other people because I wanted to be with my food, or I wanted to just have a drink on my own. And I became even more lonely because my habits, isolating myself, kept me more lonely. And then when I was like, right, I better stop this drinking and I better stop this overeating, it's really affecting my body, I then switched and became overly obsessed with exercise and was a workaholic. And this distracted me. But at the end of the day, sometimes I would feel that real loneliness, because loneliness is a state of mind, and so we need to change it. And it's about feeling loved. And in order to feel loved, it comes back to the first point, accepting and approving of ourselves. The reason I'm sharing all of this with you is because I don't want this to happen to you. I don't want you to have to go through what I went through. You deserve to be happy, and you deserve to be free. You deserve to feel love and be loved. So if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling sad, is it time that you connected with people that love you? Is it time to make new friends? Is it time to reconnect with old friends? Is it time to give yourself a break? Is it time to address some habits? What can you do to manage feeling lonely and sad? And lastly, I just want to say that crying is healthy. Crying is a great way to release emotions. When I work with people, sometimes they will say to me, I'm sorry, I'm crying. Or their husband or wife gets annoyed with them that they're crying. And crying is a beautiful way that the body releases what it needs to release. And yes, it can be annoying and frustrating sometimes, especially if you get that crying headache. Yeah, it is really good for you. And a lot of people do feel the benefit of crying that way. When I had a massive life change going back, I think it's like 10 years ago now, I couldn't stop crying for 3 weeks. It was very scary. And at the time I thought, what is wrong with me? I'm going through a breakdown. But now with hindsight, it was really a breakthrough. Because from that I was just allowing my body to release the tears that probably couldn't have been cried during my childhood because it wasn't safe. And I became free. And my life changed completely. And I wouldn't be here, sitting here, sharing this with you if I hadn't gone through that. So don't hold back your tears. In fact, encourage your tears. And with the anger, if you're feeling angry and you can't let go of it, one of the things that I do with the people that I work with for the anger management, and I do it for myself as well, is I get a bat and a cushion and I just shout and scream and let my frustration out onto a pillow or with a bat and a cushion, and then I've released it. I've released it in a healthy way where no one else has seen, no one else is affected, and I feel so much better. And often this can help me then to cry, because sometimes when we're so angry we can't even let the sadness. But anger is often a mask. It masks fear. It masks sadness. So if you're feeling angry, the key is to ask yourself, what is the emotion underneath this? What am I really feeling? Worried, concerned, sad, grieving, whatever it is. The third one is, for mental well-being, is expressing your emotions. It's a really good sign of mental well-being to be able to express your emotions effectively. I educate and support a lot of men and women to express themselves more effectively in their marriage. As a silent treatment, or pretending things are fine when they're not, and avoiding conflict at all costs, is a recipe for disaster. In close relationships, we hurt ourselves when we bury our feelings, and we also hurt ourselves when we express them in ways that cause more stress in our lives and homes. For example, you may have had a really stressful day at work and want to offload to your family as soon as you get in the door, regardless of what's happening in the home, and taking into consideration the moods of others. Managing your emotions and learning the right time to express is key. Perhaps if you wait until a calmer time in the evening, perhaps when the children are asleep in bed, or if you don't have children, when you've both eaten and you're feeling replenished, and assessing how everybody's day has gone before you just come in and offload, because this can often cause a lot of tension for ourselves if we want to share and it's not being received very well, and also for the other people in the home. Not expressing emotions has been linked to a higher rate of ill health, higher blood pressure, stress levels, and even studies have linked it to dying at an earlier age. Not expressing emotions can also lead us to acting out with different ways. Using food to stuff down the emotions, eating through the emotions, or letting them stress them so much that we avoid eating and skipping the vital meals that our bodies need. Or it can lead us to get more and more frustrated, get more and more down, and then this affects other areas of our lives. So do you express your emotions in a healthy way? Do you manage your emotions? And do you accept and love yourself? Those are the three key things for mental well-being. Now, I just want to share as well about stress and anxiety being contagious, because it's a really important point to be aware of. Your stress will affect those that you live with. I focus on stress and anxiety when I work with couples or individuals in the marriage coaching, because children get anxious really easily and quickly. They can look at you and get anxious. Seeing your facial expressions can make them anxious. And so can the elderly. When I work with couples who live with their parents, stress and anxiety is contagious. So we really want to be careful of how we are for the whole mental well-being of the family. And of course, I don't believe in faking it or pretending in a relationship. However, in front of children, sometimes this is necessary for couples to do, and to take their disagreements, the times that they need to talk, out of the house. Because even if you're a really strong person and you're like, no, I've got a good defense mechanism, I'm not going to let my husband or wife's anxiety and stress affect me, or I'm not going to allow the children's stress and anxiety to affect me. It may not affect you 90% or 80%, but it still may have a 5 to 10% effect on you. We can't help it. if we're around people that are highly stressed and highly anxious, it is going to affect us. So protecting ourselves and working together as a team with those that we live with to create a peaceful, happy home environment is so important. A really interesting study was done in the UK on children with asthma. And it was children who had developed asthma and were using the inhaler. Now, I didn't know that actually an inhaler gives those with asthma stress hormones. And this is a study that I came across when reading and learning from Dr. Gabor Maté. Look him up, he's absolutely amazing. So he noted that the study looked at all the different variables for why different children had asthma. And they couldn't find a variable. They looked at race, they looked at health, they looked at wealth, the area that the children lived in, their age, and they couldn't find any correlation between or reason between why these children had asthma and other children didn't. The only thing that they found was very alarming. The major pattern with the children that had asthma, that all these children had in common, was that their mothers were highly stressed, which is really interesting when you think about how much our stress and our anxiety and our whatever it is that we're dealing with can affect our relationship. And that's why when couples say to me that they're staying together because of the children and they're staying together because they love each other but they're not in love with each other, that we work on ways to really get happy for the children. If you're staying together for the children, get happy for the children. Give them that great environment. Do things to rebuild the love. Love can be rebuilt. Chemistry can be sparked again. People can fall back in love with the right actions and the right steps. So here is something that you may want to do moving forward. Whenever you're triggered by something like stress or anxiety, fear, sadness, is to ask yourself, what am I really feeling? How can I best manage this feeling? Is there something healthy I can do for myself? Is there something I need to express? How can I love myself through this? I love the saying when times are hard and when we feel stressed out by a situation is the saying from the proverb that goes, God, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And whether you're religious or not, asking to accept and acknowledge the things that you cannot change and focusing on the things that you can change. Having the courage to focus on the things you can change. And the one thing you can change right now is yourself. We always can change ourselves. And there's a lot of information out there. The key is finding the wisdom. In fact, I think we're bombarded with information, especially about relationships. I often get from those I work with, because I offer unlimited email support in between our sessions, emails saying, oh, I've read this rule that you're not meant to contact your partner for 30 days. Is this what I should be doing in my relationship? Or they get other pieces of advice from friends telling them to take revenge on their partner, or shall I cheat on my partner because they cheated on me? Or I've heard about this latest diet. Shall I be on this? And it's all very confusing. There's so much information, especially when it comes to food actually. There's always like eggs are bad, eggs are good, salmon is good, salmon is bad, all these kind of things, which is really confusing. And so it's about getting the right wisdom for you. And getting the wisdom for you can be tuning into yourself, asking yourself, taking time for yourself, what do you need? What are you really feeling? And what is the best action for you? And if you're stuck with that, then I'd love to help you. I have 2 audio programs, one that is focused on building self-confidence and creating more love energy, which basically means feeling more happier and loved from the inside, and then this will affect your outside life. That's a Love Energy Toolkit program, and this can affect then all different areas of your life, your choices, your behaviour, your habits. And then the other one is the Empowered Love Marriage Makeover Formula, which is 21 audios with 21 PDFs, step-by-step guide. It's different to my podcast. If you like my podcast, then you will like the marriage audio set, because it has a structure and a plan that guides you step-by-step, building on how to really transform your relationship. And it also has 5 guided meditations. If you like guided meditations, it's a lovely way to just zone out and just to relax. Both are available on my website. You can visit it, nicolabeer.com, or you can email me if you want to just be quickly pointed in the right direction and you can't find it on the website. I'd be happy to share that with you. And if you would like to consider working with me one-on-one, then I'd be happy to share a little bit more about my programs. You can book a 20-minute call via my website where we can discuss how it works and how you can bring the changes that you want into your life. So from my heart to yours, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. And if you have any topics or suggestions for the show, do feel free to reach out to me again. I always love to hear new suggestions. That's it for now. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening to How to Save Your Marriage with Nicola Beer. To book your free marriage strategy session today, you can visit www.nicolabeer.com, where you can also get the free marriage fixing ebook, request a topic for the show, and make a donation if the show has been of benefit to you and you want to help keep it going. We wish you an amazing love-filled day ahead.